Storyboard, I'm Shabani Gharat. Home to renowned alco beverage brands such as Absolute Vodka, Jacob's Creek, Chivas Regal, Ballantine's, the Glenlivet, Pernod Ricard India has one of the most dynamic and premium portfolios in the industry, and it is planning to continue its premiumization drive. The company will also focus on innovation in the existing portfolio of brands, introduce premium global innovations to India, and drive consumer experiences. So what else is in store for 2023? How is the company leveraging industry trends, and how are they tapping into the fresh batch of young consumers entering the alcohol drinking age? We are getting these answers from Kartik Mohindra, Chief Marketing Officer, Pernod Ricard India.
Kartik, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Thank you, Shabani.
Kartik, first, tell me, how has the past year been like for Pernod, and going forward, what is the strategy that you're going to apply for the India market?
Ever since the pandemic ended, the business has bounced back phenomenally well. It's doing it's wonderful growth all around. We as a company are doing exceptionally well. So yeah, the year's been good. We're looking at closing on a high. And when it comes to the future, India remains one of the biggest and the fastest growing markets in the world for Group Pernod Ricard. We know the macroeconomic factors, the economy, the way it is, the younger audiences that we have. It's just going to make for long-term sustainable growth. So as an organization, we're betting big on India.
Oh, great. And since you mentioned, the younger generation, and India is a young country, there are many who are entering the legal drinking age. If you can share with us, what are their preferences and some of the trends that you have witnessed as a company?
Well, rightfully said, there are about 22 to 23 million young Indians who enter legal drinking age every year. And this number is likely to continue for at least the next 5 to 8 years. Right? I'd like to call this generation as being extremely confident. They are global citizens. Right? They don't feel by any way lesser than their counterparts across the world. It just becomes so smaller, and they also don't have any preconceived notions about anything. So they want to work hard. They also want to party hard. They want to enjoy, savor all the finer things in life. So as far as we are concerned, but also there's although 22 million. There's also a very wide, let's say, range of preferences that would exist, right? The experimentative, they don't want to be bogged down with one particular flavor or one particular way of consumption. And they very freely and very easily oscillate between categories and flavors, right? So today, if I was to look back to 15 years or 20 years, whiskey was the be all and the end all. But it's not true today. The younger consumers are equally comfortable having a whiskey or a white spirit. Gin is booming in the urban centers. You see tequila is on the rise. It's a much wider palette. Makes life a lot difficult for us at times.
So consumers have a wider choice now. Their preferences are changing, which we have seen noticeably over the past couple of years. Then there are these spate of newer players who are entering the alcohol beverage market, and then there are these well-entrenched, established players already present in the India market. So how do you look at this whole environment and the whole dynamics?
Highly competitive, one must say, and you're absolutely correct. I think craft is in. Innovation is in, like I mentioned, and there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are really challenging the norm. And what that's doing is it's keeping a lot of the, let's say, entrenched or traditional players on the toes. Which is great. And if you really ask for my point of view, it's very important that entrenched players or market leading players like us are always on top of our game to be able to meet these competitor demands that are posed on our business. But equally, I think collectively, what we are doing is we're also changing the landscape of the business in India, right? So the more the players that go after it, the better the output for the industry as a whole. So there are benefits in there as well. One doesn't really need to, because there's massive room for growth, right?
Also, Kartik, I have seen that Pernod has actively focused on premiumization of the company's portfolio. So how is this entire premiumization drive working for you?
Oh, working very well. One of the biggest current headwinds that the industry faces is severe inflation in COGS, right, which has to be offsetted. And we've been very actively driving premiumization, because that's really how our business is built. That's the bedrock of sustainable, profitable business. We've always followed that here in India. We do not, let's say, participate in categories which have a very low margin threshold. We've, since inception in India, we've not entered those categories. We prefer to play in the profitable, in the long-term potential categories. But even within the wide portfolio that we have, there is a conscious effort for the organizational energy and investments to go behind categories that allow for greater premiumization, for us to have greater value for the brands, but then also be able to give back to the consumer, to be able to experience or get a better output of what we have on offer. So if I take the last year as an example, our volume growths would have been high single digit, but our turnover is almost twice that, right? Which again indicates that not only are we focusing towards the top end, but also that's where the Indian market and the Indian consumers are going towards. It's about more self-fulfillment now, not simply what, let's say, the predecessors used to be about.
Yeah. Kartik, I must ask you, as a marketer, for alcohol beverages, what is the biggest challenge that you're facing?
It's the input cost inflation, which has been quite challenging in the last 12 to 18 months, and doesn't really seem to be abating in the near future. Right? So that will always remain, a big pressure on profitability. And like I said, as an organization being so focused towards the bottom line, what it means is that we have to find ways to make sure our profitability trajectory remains where it is. But also at the same time, so while premiumization is a reality, but when organizations or manufacturers have to pass on the input cost pressures to maintain thresholds of profitability, which Pernod Ricard is very, very conscious about, that sometimes coupled with taxation increases by states tends to take pricing beyond, let's say, what the consumer is sometimes comfortable of spending. So it's a bit of a mixed bag at times, but that's part of life.
It is time for a short break. On the other side, we have Lance Bennett, the new VP of Sales and Marketing at Mercedes-Benz India, who's speaking to us about how Mercedes is shaping its marketing strategies for the future.